Sago, I'm Abram Benedict, the Ontario Regional Chief, representing the Chiefs of Ontario. Today I'm addressing a critical step forward in the efforts to secure long-term reform for First Nations children in Ontario. On January 7th, it was announced that the Chiefs of Ontario, the Anishinaabe Nation, and the Government of Canada would enter into negotiations to reform the First Nations and Family Services Program in Ontario, with the intention to prevent and reduce the number of First Nation children in care, a responsibility we cannot take lightly. In October 2024, Chiefs of Ontario, Anishinaabe Nation ratified the Provisional Final Agreement, which was a national deal that would have legally bound Canada to provide $47.8 billion in stable funding over 10 years. However, at the national level, during the Assembly of First Nations Special Chiefs Assembly, the provisional agreement was rejected. Recognition of the urgency of action, Ontario First Nation leadership convened during the Chiefs of Ontario Assembly in November 2024. Chiefs in Assembly passed Resolution 2428S mandating the Chiefs of Ontario, Anishinaabe Nation to negotiate a regional agreement with Canada. The Ontario Agreement represents the regional implementation of a reform previously agreed upon by the Ontario Chiefs in the Provisional Final Agreement. This agreement prioritizes sustainable critical investments to prevent children from entering into care, flexibility for First Nations to allocate resources based on local needs, support for young adults transitioning to independence. We must act now. Since the original claim was filed in 2006, an entire generation of First Nation children have aged out of care. Children who were taken from their families, placed in non-First Nation homes, and disconnected from their communities and culture. This is unacceptable. Every delay means more children losing their ties to their heritage and culture and their identity. Upcoming changes in the federal government, the time to secure the agreement is now. The Chiefs of Ontario remains committed to self-determination for First Nations regarding the welfare of the First Nations children. Equitable funding that reflects their inherent rights, long-term well-being and sovereignty of First Nation children and families in Ontario. To the Chiefs in leadership, I want to say Yamagoa Miigwech for your dedication to this case. Together, we will ensure that our children thrive in your communities, embraced by their families and grounded in their culture. Miigwech Yama.